Although I am involved with CADAC, the Center of ADHD Awareness Canada, the views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the participants and do not reflect those of CADAC. And now, cue the music.
This is the Impulsive Thinker Podcast, a show for high-achieving ADHD entrepreneurs. Together, we will inform and educate you about how to improve your self-awareness while developing systems, routines, and habits for conquering the entrepreneurial world. Here is your host, André Brisson.
Hey there, it's André here with another short for the Impulsive Thinker Podcast, the podcast for the high-achieving ADHD entrepreneur. This episode is brought to you by CADAC, the Center of ADHD Awareness Canada. You can get more information and you can donate at www.caddac.ca. This week I want to talk to you about to-do lists. I know out there's a lot of stuff with ADHD. They're saying not to have to-do lists or have to-do lists if they are a certain way, blah, blah, blah. No one seems to have a really good idea what to do about it. One thing is for sure that everyone agrees with is that the ADHD brain struggles with to-do lists. One of my biggest insights with my ADHD brain is I think ADHD, the first stepping stone or the first hurdle we need to overcome is our executive function deficits. So that's planning, organizing, prioritizing, and executing on task. And that's one of the reasons why I think to-do lists are difficult. Part of the problem is also our time blindness. If it's not now, it's never. We always like to prioritize what we're working on now. And the other thing too is what's difficult is with to-do lists, there's no prioritizing a to-do list because there's no dates attached to it. So there's really no deadline or time frame or framework on what to do on a to-do. I thought that was a good insight. I forget where I got it, but someone else pointed that out. And then the other thing is that, I don't know about you, but I got quite a few different to-do lists, and it's quite overwhelming to look at that list of 200-300 things, which I've broken it down to multiple different to-do lists. So now we're only looking at 10 to 20, but they say don't do that. Well, the thing is for me to not have a to-do list is a problem because I know I'm going to forget those things I need to do. So one way or the other, I'm creating a to-do list because I need to remember. And I'm not going to throw it all digitally because that's just a different way of putting it in a drawer. Digital stuff, cleaning my physical mess and put it digitally just means I got a digital mess and it's more out of sight, out of mind, and I'm going to forget. So I got to-do lists because I know I won't forget them because then I'll worry, eat up energy, and just say, hey, you got to remember all this stuff and it's distracting me from other stuff. What I discovered, though, was that my to-do list is actually a project list, and this came from an observation from Rick Green, the maker of ADHD, and I forget the name of his things, but he's the one that created an HBO special about ADHD and loving it, Rick Green. And he says, is that a task that you labeled, or is that a project? And that hit me hard because majority of the time, the tasks that I put on my to-do list are projects or are a section of a project, which has more tasks. And what I've been putting on my daily to-do list have been actually projects or big sections of a project that I can't physically potentially get done in a day, all three things that I was planning. That's why I never accomplished what I wanted because the tasks were just too big. They were actually not tasks. They were projects that had a lot of many task lists. And what I mean by task, it should be just one thing that needs to be done. So I'll give you an example. I need to write the structural report today. I'm going to put an hour and a half. Okay. Well, that's a project or a part of a bigger project. So I did all the engineering work and all the research. So that's a part of the project. But the thing is with doing a report is I got to kind of do an outline. I got to do a plan. I got to organize the information. Then I got to write out a draft of the report, review the draft, have someone else review it, make the final changes, potentially send it to client for review those changes, then seal the report and send it out. Okay, I just listed out. That's at least 10, I might have lost some math there, at least 10 tasks, things to do to write that report. So just saying I need to write that report today, that's a project. And if I look at all those tasks individually, that's half an hour, that's half an hour, that's half an hour, that's probably an hour, that's 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes, that's another half hour. I got to wait a week till the customer gets back. So I'm already above the hour and a half I was planning to do to finish that report. So that's my point. We got to start looking at our to-do list and determine, is that a task we're asking to do? That's one thing to be done. Outline and report, rough draft. Or is it complete the report and that's a project? So this was one of the reasons why I couldn't wrap my head around why I couldn't complete the 3 things I wanted to get done. They were just too big because they were projects. I thought 2 hours was enough, but 4 hours later, done. My whole day is backed up, screwed up. I'm frustrated. Now I got to rush to get the other stuff done. My emotional dysregulation and my frustrations is sensitive. People come in, disrupt my day. Even though it was a scheduled appointment or it's a simple question, you're still disrupting my day. That means I got to go home and be late because I said those 3 things are going to be done and I'm going to get it done. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to that. And we've all been there. We know that, which means we're late for home because we got to get it done. And that's a mindset that I've been working on and I'm slowly getting over. Just because I didn't get it done doesn't mean I didn't make progress. And I'm starting to reframe my accomplishment with progress versus completion. So, short story. Our ADHD brain confuses tasks and projects. We have a hard time to assess the length of time of completion, and this is what I learned about a task. A task is one step. Rough outline of the report. Type it in Word. 2 different tasks. Since those are smaller, I can now have it's one step. So now I can, you know what, that is half an hour. That is 15 minutes versus get the whole report done. I'm guessing it's an hour and a half because you know what, it fits my schedule. But sometimes working those smaller bursts is actually better. And one thing I do now, I've always done, and now I'm just refining my process, but I got, like I've shared with you before, I got a shit list. I plan out my week as much as I can, which is not necessarily set in stone, but at least I got a general idea what needs to be done, what projects I need to complete at the project level. And then I break down every day I got 3 things to do. Things I need to get done to to make progress on a lot of stuff. And at the end of every day, I go back and I say, what went well today? So I can kind of have happy notes, positive reinforcement, and that helps. But now the next layer of the challenge is when we get to that day and we confirm those 3 things we need to do we need to break that project down into smaller tasks? Once we break those smaller tasks into smaller bits, we then have a better ability to assess and determine the actual amount of time it'll take. Projects, we never have the ability to properly assess the amount of time it'll take. That's why I rely on my engineering team to determine how much time it'll take and schedule the project to fruition because it's too big. I think can be done quicker than it actually is. But if you tell me to just worry about this one part, I can tell that's a 15, 20-minute job or an hour or an hour and a half. So, long story short, do you have a project list, which you're calling to-do list? Or are those actually tasks that are one-step thing to do only? And that actually helps you bear your focus on what that one thing needs to do and not worry about the next step because that's what you decide to do. Task is one thing, project is many tasks. I'd like to hear about what systems you have to help you with this, or if you got a successful way of determining the amount of time or to-do list that works for you. Please let me know at andre@andreb.ca. What I will also do in the show notes, I have a link for you to. I want to gift you my shit list. It's like a little page. It's like a half a page thing that you can do every week. It's in the show notes. The link is there. Please click on that, and I'll send you the shit list. Free of charge and for you to use. And I'd like to hear from you how that's working out for you. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Impulsive Thinker podcast. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for the show, please visit theimpulsivethinker.com. The Impulsive Thinker podcast is produced by Tactical Breakthroughs and hosted by André Brisson. Remember, ADHD is only a part of you, not all of you.